Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. I'd like to welcome you, dear viewers, to another in our series, In the Light of Islam. And in this episode, we'll be looking at further questions which have been sent in to us. In particular, one question which has been sent in by fax. I'd like to remind you that our fax number is 9716. That's the area code into the Emirates, if you're outside of the Emirates. Or inside the Emirates, it will be 06-5323-724. And then we'll be looking at some other questions which have been written in. This first question is from Muhammad Arshad in Dubai. He faxed in the question saying, Dr. Bilal Phillips, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, respected sir. I watch your program with great interest since it's very useful, particularly for the Muslim expatriate residing in the UAE. I belong to a Muslim country, but regret to inform you that the majority of people, although they're Muslims, commit too much shirk and bid'ah, which I understand is due to jahalat, which is ignorance, really, jahal, and lack of Islamic education. And thirdly, that some so-called existing or deceased Islamic scholars who are or were the agents of the kuffar did continuously inject shirk and bid'ah, victimizing the people who are in a vulnerable stage of Islamic knowledge with regards to the meaning of Tawheed, which is the basic ingredient of Islam. I'm asking if you could give me some advice as to how to make da'wah or to convey Islam in my country, amongst the people of my country. And I pray Allah Almighty bless you and the concerned Sharjah TV staff associated with transmission of this useful program to us, and give you more tawfiq for warning the viewers to get rid of the evil of shirk and bid'ah. With best thanks and regards, Muhammad Arshad. Well, Brother Muhammad, as you have already identified the basic issues which have led to the shirk and bid'ah which is common in your country, ignorance, lack of Islamic education, and unfortunately some individuals who might have been scholars or not, who victimize people for their own personal ends. That is, there are traditions of scholarship, unfortunately, that saw in the ignorance of people a chance to make money, to live well off that ignorance. So people would come to them as they would prepare for them amulets. I'm sure this is what Brother Muhammad Arshad is referring to, where they would prepare, you go to these sheikhs or scholars or maulanas, whatever, and they will prepare these amulets for you, for your children, to protect them from the evil eye or from this or from that. And, when people are getting married, you have other amulets that you wear, and amulets, given to people if they want to, like love potions to get somebody to love them so they can marry them, and a variety. You want success in your business, okay, we have another amulet for you. One that you wear, you hang in your store, you read, or write. So this became a big business. Of course, these individuals may not ask you directly for money. Some do. They say you do it. You pay the certain fee you pay. And they prepare it for you like a prescription that is given by a chemist. Or they don't ask for any money, but if you give them gifts, you donate to them, then they accept it, right? And this is how they make the money. It's just understood. If the sheikh makes an amulet for you, you got to give him something, So it becomes a means of big business. And this is why those forces that are out there trying to stop this whole issue of amulets, these individuals, many of them traditional scholars who've been around in some of these countries for a long time, they will vehemently fight these people, call them all kinds of names, Wahhabis, deviants, whatever, because they see their economic livelihood being threatened. When people are telling them, no, you go back to the Quran yourself, you learn the du'as from the Prophet Muhammad, This is how you protect yourself. You don't need to be riding and wearing these amulets, which the Prophet ﷺ himself actually forbade. He said, whoever wears an amulet depends on it, and it is from shirk, but we should avoid it. So when you find also this, you have individuals who will promote the idea of pilgrimages, to various shrines like Ajmer and others, where people will go there in huge numbers, and you have bodies of people there who live off them, and off the money that they bring to the charity, to these shrines, seeking blessings, seeking guidance, and seeking whatever, from these various shrines. So the people who are the sadhana, those who are the guardians or custodians of the shrine, they make a lot of money, and they'll sell artifacts, like at a football game, you come, you want to buy the colors of that football team, and little objects and things. You'll find at these shrines, these custodians doing the same thing. They sell special little scarves, or pair of shawls, and a variety of different things. They're supposed to have special blessings because it comes from the shrine. And each shrine has its own set, its own set of colors and all this. It's very unfortunate the Muslim world, a lot of it has fallen into this kind of shirk and bid'ah, which is due, as you said, basically to ignorance. So the solution for such a problem is knowledge, as the cure for ignorance is knowledge. This is what the cure is. And so we have to strive to educate people. This is the solution, to educate them. And we have to do it in a gradual fashion because, of course, confronting many of these people directly, people who have been doing this, and their parents have been doing it, their grandparents have been doing it. This has been done for generations. It's very difficult for you to change this overnight because this kind of struggle, requires a lot of patience. Very few people really have the real patience to do it. A lot of people may be concerned and they have the knowledge and they want to do it, but once they get out there trying to tell people and they find so much resistance, usually they throw up their hands and say, no point. There's no point in trying to guide these people. They cannot be guided. They're lost completely. Well, the point is, one has to be patient. Well, if we're going to take on this job, and this is a big job, and it is the duty first and foremost of the people of that country, of these countries, It's not the duty of people say, okay, Dr. Bilal, why don't you come over, you talk to these people for us. No, well, I can do that. I can come if I'm invited. I do go to different countries and give lectures, etc. But first and foremost, it is the duty of the people of those same areas who are conscious and aware. They know the language of the people. They know how to communicate with their own people. But they don't have, oftentimes, the patience necessary to get the ideas across. And one has to be very patient. One has to build some kind of bridges to these people. Rather than attacking them openly, directly, which burns bridges, cuts relations, and we have to try to come at them from different angles. Try to re-educate them, get them back in contact with the Quran. Most of them don't read the Quran at all. Or if it's done, it's only done, on a ceremonial basis, where there's no meaning involved. They just read it on occasions of marriages, deaths, births, and, Ramadan, special occasions, but normally they don't read the Quran. The Quran is not a part and parcel of their daily lives. So we try to get them back into that, reading the Quran and reading it with understanding. From there we try to get them to read the Sunnah, because after reading the Quran and understanding that Allah has said, Ati'u Allah wa ati'u Rasul, obey Allah and obey the Messenger. Man yuti' al-Rasul faqad ata' Allah, whoever has obeyed the Messenger has obeyed Allah. If one reads that one and says, okay, I need to know what the Messenger is telling me. Ma atakum al-Rasul fakhudhu, whatever the Messenger has given you, take it. We need to find out, what has he given us? How to find that out? We need to go to the Sunnah. We need to read the Hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ, Bukhari, Muslim. These are the classical books of Hadith. We need to go back and read these, get them into reading, getting exposed back to the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And inshallah, with that kind of exposure, ultimately a new foundation of knowledge can be built. And of course, the reality of tackling the elders is not an easy task. So focus needs to be done on the youths, to try to develop youth organizations, youth groups, youth activities which can attract their children And in the course of teaching them and interacting with them in ways which they enjoy, sports, etc., we try to find good, healthy, Islamically oriented sports. And then, whilst doing that, we inject to them the correct ideas of the Quran and the Sunnah and the way of the Salaf, the way of the early scholars of our Ummah, the Sahaba and the Tabi'een, the students of the Sahaba, etc., learning their way, how they understood Islam, how they approached Islam. We can try to build a new foundation for the future. I hope that, inshallah, has helped to guide you in this regard. Next, we have a letter from Sister Mariam. She writes, Dr. Bilal Phillips, I have a question, two questions actually. I have two questions on Islamic life that I really don't know about.